All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have Angela Ardis here, the author of the best-selling book Inside a Thug's Heart, which happens to be one of my favorite books of all time. It's definitely one of my old faithfuls. Miss Angela, thank you so much for deciding to come out today and just, dedicating your time to talk about the book that keeps on giving.
Say you got me outside. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm excited about this interview.
Me too.
So today I wanted to get started with, of course, your childhood. Tell us a little bit about Angela as a child and what was life like growing up in Detroit?
Well, I didn't grow up in Detroit. I grew up in Grand Rapids. So I was born in Detroit and raised in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It was, nothing really to tell on in that respect. Writing came to me through diaries. My mother got me my first diary when I was 7. We used to read
Hmm.
all the time, or were required to read all the time. So that propelled me to write a little bit. I started with short stories and poetry and diary writing, which was more story, but that was like your day to day. Um, and then it just kept snowballing, and the short stories became full stories, became little bitty, children's books and stuff like that. So I've been writing for a pretty long time. And Grand Rapids was okay. I'm not mad at Michigan. It was all right.
All right, so jumping right into this amazing book right here, Inside a Thug's Heart. I kind of wanted to start with the last part first
Okay.
and kind of get into how the book came about and like when you actually decided to turn these letters into a physical book.
So I was in California. A business partner of mine came over, and well, he was a business partner now. He was a friend then. Came over, and we were on my back porch talking about poetry for some reason. I don't know why. And I said, "Do you want to read a poem by Tupac that Tupac wrote me?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, I have some poetry that Tupac wrote me." He said, "He wrote you poetry?" I said, "Yeah, he wrote me some letters." He said, "Yeah." So then I let him read the letters. I let him read a few of them. And he said, "You should make this a book." I was like, "No, not gonna do it, sir. It's Tupac. You can't just you can't just do that." He was like, "Well, just put the letters out and just let people read it." I said, "Nope, that's a pamphlet, and you can't do that either. That's just, that's mm-mm." And he said, "These letters need to be seen by somebody. Like, I think his fan base would love these letters." And I was like, "I got to figure out how to do that. I wouldn't just put the letters out." And so it took me maybe, I don't know, about a month or so, a couple months to say, well, maybe I could just tell the story of how it happened, because that was crazy enough. Um, and so I started writing it. It took me 4 months to write the story and 4 years for it to come out. Because I almost, honestly, in all actuality, I almost threw away the letters, and my mother told me to keep them. When I moved to California from Georgia, I almost threw the letters away, and that would have been catastrophic.
Well, okay, so we'll get into why you almost threw the letters out, but going back to why you were apprehensive about putting it out in the first place, when he told you initially, he gave you the idea and said, "Hey, you should turn this into a book," and you were like, "No, no, 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 this is Tupac. You can't just do
Because
that."
I think during that time there was a lot of books coming out, celebrity books coming out, and they were just like I don't want to name any names, but they were just like books, telltale books. And I don't want a telltale book. I wanted a story if it was going to be a story. I didn't want to just put the letters out to say, "Hey, look what I got, some letters from Tupac. Go buy it." You know what I mean? That didn't make sense to me either. And it wouldn't have been a thick enough situation anyway. Um, so, and two, I didn't want that perception, of a money grab type situation, because it wasn't that either. You know what I mean? So when I came up with possibly just telling the story of how it happened, which was crazy as it was. When you read the book, you know how crazy it was. But it was so happenstance so that I thought people might be interested in it. And once I finished writing it and reread it to myself, I was like, you know what? That's not too bad. I could put that out. I'm okay with that. Even though I was terrified. I was terrified. When that book came out, I was terrified. I was under the covers in North Carolina the morning that book came out. Scared.
Why?
Because you didn't know what people were going to say. I mean, thank God we didn't have social media at the time, but it was on a radio station. It was everywhere at that moment when it hit. I was terrified because I didn't know what people were going to think or say. But the reception was beautiful. It was beautiful. I guess you always imagine the worst before you can even imagine that it would be well received, and it has been very well received.
Okay, so what was it like dealing with the legalities of turning the letters into a book?
It was a great learning process. Um, Me and my attorney, I swear, we went back and forth with the estate's attorney for years. I mean, it was about a year and a half, and it got to a place where I had rewritten the contract. I was like, let me just rewrite it. That's how involved I was that I could rewrite a contract. So now I'm really good at contracts, which is great. That's a lesson that I learned inside of that situation. Um, but I got to a place where I was just like, this book can never come out. I don't care anymore. I said, get me a meeting with the attorney, and then we can sit down and figure out what it is. Because we were stuck on one little paragraph. It was one paragraph. And then they wanted me to turn over the entire book, the letters, everything. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I don't know you from Adam. You could just put it out. Now it's over. It doesn't, you can PDF it and then now it's out. I wasn't going to do that. And so he got me a meeting, and I remember Dina LaPope was there, and Carolyn Ali. Well, Dina LaPope was their attorney, but Carolyn Ali was there as the representative for the estate. And I was like, she can read the book. I'll come to her. I'll adjust my schedule and come to her every day, And they were like, well, how long will that take? I said, how fast does she read? I don't know. However long it takes, I don't care. Because it didn't matter at that point. I was done. I was over it. It'd been too long. It was too easy. It took 4 months to write. And I'm like, why are we going through all of this over a paragraph? So then let her read it. See what it is. You're worried about what it is. So see what it is. If it's something that you're interested in, then we can move forward. Otherwise, just forget it. You know what I'm saying? But they were just as intrigued, I guess, as I was. And so I would go to Interscope every day. I met a lot of people at Interscope that were dope. And in the process of her reading the book, and then me and her became friends. She loved the book. She gave it the green light to Afeni. Afeni, she had already read like 3 or 4 chapters of it anyway. And Afeni gave the book her blessing. And so that's how this book came to be. Without her blessing, it wouldn't have happened.
Now, how did Afeni get the initial 3 chapters that you said she read prior to reading the entire book?
The gentleman who asked me to do the book, who thought that I should put that book out, he crashed a party that she was at in Atlanta. And he took 3 chapters of the book to that party and gave it to her. And then I think he was going between her and Glow, which is her sister. And that's how this book happened. He crashed a party.
So, based off of what I'm hearing, I understand that it had to go through the lawyers before Afeni gave the green light. Who was like really in charge of saying yes or no to this book actually coming out? Because I always thought that Afeni was the head of his estate at the time.
Afeni was the head of the estate, and it was up to her because she owned everything
Okay.
that Tupac authored. And he authored the letters. So I own the letters outright. I could sell the letters if I want to sell the letters to collectors or whatever like that, but I can't use them commercially without the estate's permission because she owns everything he authored. In my mind, I'm thinking that I own these letters and he sent them in the mail via, federal mail. So therefore it's mine, and it's not. It doesn't even work like that. And I didn't find that out till I was done writing the book. That was a bad day for me. Oh
Really?
yeah. You can't do that. So if I
Now,
wrote
is
you a
it
whole bunch
because
of
he's a public figure, or
no, just period.
because?
Period. You are not allowed. If I wrote you a letter and you published it without my permission, I could sue you. Who
Oh
knew? I
wow.
know. I didn't know either. Blew my mind. Has nothing to do with him being a public figure.
Because I would have thought that if you write me, like, say you write me a poem, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's now mine,
It is
which
yours.
means
You
that
you could sell
I
it.
can do what I want to do.
You could sell it, but you can't make money off my poem. I own that. I
So
authored
what
that
would be the
poem
difference? What would be the difference in selling it and me making money off your poem?
because it's commercial. You put it up like on Amazon. And so the whole world can
Mm.
have it. If I sold it to a collector, he can't do anything with it but have it. He could put it on his wall. You know what I'm saying? He could put all the letters and poetry on his wall. He's not making any money off of those letters. He owns them. That's it. If he tried to do anything else with those letters commercially, like NFTing them and all that kind, you have to have permission from the estate. So even if I sold it, then now he has to go through the estate to figure it out. I know it's crazy. And then come back to me because now you have my stuff in there also. So it's a double situation. Crazy. I know. I was floored also. Floored. I look just
Yeah,
like you.
that's definitely insane.
Right.
That's insane
I know.
because again, like he's writing you all these letters and these are essentially your poems. So I think that the learning lesson in this for the viewer would be that you don't really own it even though somebody wrote it for you. It was intended for you and it's technically yours.
Right.
It doesn't give you free reign to do whatever you want to do with it.
Correct. Because I have letters that I have that boyfriends and friends in high school and elementary school wrote me a long time ago. I still have all that stuff. And they would floor these guys that I still have all the stuff. And I thought about putting it in a book, love letters to Angela, something like that, or letters over my life, or trying to put something together like that. But then I was like, I need everybody's permission. And then you have to do contracts with everybody because everybody's going to want to cut. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot. It's a lot to think about. No, you cannot do whatever you want to do with somebody else's writing to you. I thought you could. Absolutely. And so that's what took so
I
long.
thought you could too.
I know, no. They could actually sue you. Most people don't realize that. So if you did do it with somebody, they probably wouldn't think anything of it. They probably would be happy that you put it in a book somewhere and said nice things about them. But no, technically they could sue you because you don't own that. You own the actual letter. You can sell it to somebody if somebody wanted it, but you couldn't commercially set it out there and put it on in books and magazines and articles and all that. You can't do that.
What about a website? Because I definitely have like some love letters that I wanted to publish on my own website.
I
But
think if you monetize off of it, it becomes a problem. Posting it and not
okay,
monetizing is two different things. Because I've seen letters out there
interesting.
from him to people posted, but I don't think they're monetizing off of it. Because it would be a copyright infringement. And it probably flags it too as a copyright, but they probably like, I don't own this, blah, 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 whatever you got to put out there, for social media.
That's so
I
interesting.
know.
So anyway, this great book Inside a Thug's Heart started out as a simple bet between coworkers. Take me through that day and how the bet came about.
So we were doing board books. I worked at a company and it was probably about 10 o'clock at night. So we were a little delirious, but it was something that we'd been working on all day. And MC Light's Roughneck came on. So we dancing around and, we settled after the song went off and we were asked, or I was asked, if you could have a roughneck, who would you want? And so my roommate at the time, she said Tretch. And they asked me and I said Tupac. And they were like, well, he's in jail. And I'm like, yeah, well, you just asked me who would I want, not if I could get him. You know what I'm saying? And so they said, well, I bet you can't. I bet you can't get in touch with him. I didn't think I really could because of his celebrity, that I wouldn't be able to at all get anywhere near him. But, I don't win bets ever in my life. And so I was like, bet. um, and so that's how that happened. So I took that bet and didn't think anything else of it. Just, kind of let it ride. My roommate, we worked and lived together. But she was like, so what are you going to do? I'm like, what am I going to do about what? She said, the bet. How are you going to get in touch with him? I wasn't thinking about it anymore. I was like, I have no idea. But then I remembered I had an uncle who was in and out of jail, and I knew you needed a prisoner number. So I was like, it can't be that simple. I can't just call Rikers Island, which is where he was at the time, and get his prisoner number and information. Because I can get the address to Rikers Island, but could I get his prisoner number, right? So I called. I called 411, which is what you used to dial to get information in a phone number. I called 411 and
You took it back.
right. 5 seconds later, I had his prisoner number and his address. And I was floored. I was like, okay, so if I was able to get it that easily, then everybody can get it that easily. So then I had to try to figure out what would make my letter stand out. If I sent him one, what would make it stand out?
Okay, now up until that point, were you like always into Roughnecks, or was it just like something about Tupac that you just like?
I think I always have loved a bad boy. I like not a complete bad boy, but one that you can take.
Like a crash out.
Yeah, like you can take him anywhere. I need that level to be there. I need that hardness to be there also. You know what I'm saying? Like you speak beautifully. You can I can take you here. I can take you there. But if we go to the hood, it's still good. Like I feel safe. That kind of feeling. You know what I mean? Not that he's a knucklehead. I don't do knuckleheads. I don't understand them. But I felt like all the things that I had seen of him on the news, I felt like he had a softer side inside of all the knucklehead stuff that I saw. So for me, he would be that roughneck that, I mean, and he was fine and his eyes were beautiful.
Golly, yes.
It was the eyes. It was always the
It was
eyes.
the
It
eyes
was
for
the
me.
eyes. Yeah.
So were you a fan, or were you like an actual Tupac fan, or were you more so a casual listener who just thought he was sexy?
Nope. I wasn't a fan. There was two songs I loved. I loved "Holler If You Hear Me" and I can't think of the other one. But I loved "Holler If You Hear Me," and I had a boyfriend at the time who listened to Tupac music. The boyfriend that I had split up with in that first letter, that 5-year relationship that was over, that one, that guy. So he used to listen to Tupac. So that's how I was introduced to Tupac and that song. So that's how I knew who he was. And then I started seeing interviews and, just random stuff here and there. But no, I wasn't an avid Tupac listener or rap music listener or hip hop music listener person. Unless I went to the club, then I mean it was
Okay.
just whatever they played. That's what I danced to. But no,
Okay, now getting back into the bet being set in motion, how did you come up with the idea to make sure your letter stood out?
I was laying there. I woke up one morning and I thought a different color envelope. I said a different color envelope would stand out. Now, I did not think that anybody else wouldn't think to do a different color envelope. But in my mind, I have to say, nobody else did, or it didn't smell like mine did because that's what he was looking for. So I said, I'm going to go to Kinko's, which for all of those who don't know, Kinko's is now Staples. So it's that kind of a establishment. They had a barrage of different color envelopes, every color in the rainbow, and fuchsia was my favorite color. So I stuck with fuchsia. I almost did a fuchsia paper also, but when I did the print on it, when I typed it out, it just didn't transfer well. It was too bright. So I kept the white paper and did a fuchsia envelope, sprayed it with 360, and that was how I wound up sending it off to him. And he said he was looking for this, he was searching for the smell, and it wound up being in a fuchsia envelope. So now he knew to look for the fuchsia envelope. It's unnerving.
Mm,
It's unnerving. If I had put it in a white envelope
that's
with the perfume,
insane.
I know, I
And
know.
don't you know, Angela, I think that Perry Ellis owes you a check, honestly,
They should.
because when I did when I did my Thug Love series on TikTok, there was so many girls DMing me like, "Girl, you got me about to buy some Perry Ellis perfume."
And it's not even expensive. It's so old school. It's not even expensive. I still wear it to this day. I get more compliments on that than I do all the stuff that's out now, honestly. Honestly, it
Yes,
smells
well,
that
I'm
good.
sure once people see this interview, it's going to be a lot of girls that's going to like run it up because I know for sure I bought two bottles, at least two bottles of Perry Ellis perfume over the course of my life just based on this book.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
because I'm such a fan of Tupac.
Did you get a lot of compliments on it when you
Yeah, I
wore it? Yeah.
did. I did.
Yeah. It's something in
Yep.
it. I don't know what it is, but that got him too.
And yeah, scent compliments are usually my favorite anyway because it's I don't know what it is about a scent compliment,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely love some Perry Ellis.
Yeah.
Um, so were you nervous when you sent off the letter, or was it just something that you just was like, he's not going to respond, so you didn't even think twice about it?
Wasn't even thinking about it. I FedExed it, wasn't thinking about it. I put the phone number in there just in case. Um, Told him when I would be home just in case, and didn't even think about it again because I never thought he would get it. And even if he got it, I never thought he would respond to it. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I didn't have anything to lose at all other than the bet yet again because I don't win bets anyway. So I was, neither here nor there. But I just didn't think about it again. I mean, what? I had no hope for it like that. It wasn't like I was like, oh my God, I hope he gets it and calls me or sends me a letter. I would have never, ever in a million years, not in a million. You couldn't have told me that what happened happened. You couldn't have told me that. Like me and you've talked, and I've said, like you said, you act like this didn't happen to you. It's the it's the
Me
same.
too.
It's the same thing. When I was looking at your thing that you put on your TikTok, I was like, and then what happened? And you were like, Miss Angela, this is you. I'm so
This is for
serious.
sure you.
Right.
Like, this is your
I
story.
know. It still. And when I reread it last night, again, I was like, wow, this did happen. It was a lot.
It it damn sure happened,
It
okay?
damn sure did. Absolutely did.
So, how much time passed between when you sent when you sent him the letter, and the night he actually called and you missed the call?
It had to have been, I think it was 3 days, because I FedExed the letter. So he would have gotten that the next day. They said by 12 noon. So I had all that information. How he gets his mail there and all that part I didn't know, but I think it was about 3 days. And he called. I mean, come on, man.
Golly.
Like, I wasn't. What do you do?
Take me through that night. Take me through that night. What were you doing before you got in and you checking your answering machine and you realized you missed the call
I,
from the Tupac Shakur?
I had been out on a date, and so then
Mm-hmm.
I get in. So I get in, and you like, you just hit the machine, and we had actual recording machines back then, people. It was not your phone, and we had a whole box. And so I hit the machine, and it's going through the messages, and my mama called, and some other people called, and then it's like, hey, this is Tupac. And I froze because it's like, what? I'm sorry. I thought you might be home. I might catch you, blah, 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 whatever. And then, I'm standing still, half dressing, or undressing rather, and it beeps because it's done. And then, of course, the machine rewinds to start over. So I'm thinking it's still sitting there. So I hurry up and go pull it in case somebody else calls. And I run to my roommate's room because I'm just like, nah, I got to hear that again. I need her to hear it because I actually won this bet. Like it was crazy that he called. Like let's not get it twisted. It was amazing. But I did win this bet though. You don't understand. I never ever win bets. So the fact that he actually called is way beyond anything I could have ever imagined in my entire life. But I did win this bet though. But nobody's gonna know if I can't get somebody to hear this recording. So I run to her room and bang on the door, and I told her we had to go to the job to get the recorder. And it's 2:00 in the morning though. And And she was like, we're going to get arrested. I said, we have the keys to the building. We're fine. Let's just go get your pillow. Because she's a very heavy sleeper. I was like, get your pillow and just come ride with me. And we went in there and could not find his tape recorder.
Okay. Now, for those who never read the book, I want to read the message that he left. Can I read the message?
Absolutely.
He said, "Hi, Angela. This is Tupac. I got your letter today and I thought I'd call, but I guess you're not there. I'll try again tomorrow. Bye." So, as you're listening to the message, did you feel like you had missed the opportunity, or did you really believe that he was going to call you again?
No, no. I did think I missed an opportunity. Why would he call again? You know what I mean? Like, why would he call again? For what reason? You know what I mean? So for me, it was kind of surreal in that respect. And I didn't, it was a sad feeling, kind of like, wow, you out gallivanting over here with whatever, you missed this call. You the one put the time in the letter, but I didn't know when he would have gotten it or when he would have called. And you know what I'm saying? It could have been anywhere between these times. So for me, it wasn't like I'm sitting at home waiting for him to call because I didn't think he was going to call. Even putting it in there, I didn't think he was going to call. Why would I think he was going to call? Why would I think that? I wouldn't. So I wasn't waiting for him. Then to have him call and you missed it. It's like, oh, Jesus. But I did go home and wait the next day because I didn't know. And he said he would call. But I could, how you gonna live your life like that? Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, no.
Well, the girls, we all expected you to be by the phone 24 hours a day.
Facts.
Until he called.
In hindsight, I understand. In hindsight, I completely understand that. I do. But at the time, you wouldn't have known. You'd have been sitting there forever. Like you'd have to quit your job waiting for him to call because, you didn't know if he even got the letter. Did he get it?
Yes.
I know it was delivered because I had FedEx, so I know it was delivered, but it doesn't mean he got it. Doesn't mean he read it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like Santa Claus has satchels and satchels of mail. If I got his address that easily, the whole world had his address. And everybody was going to reach him in prison. I didn't know. But in my mind, he was Santa Claus with all the satchels. And my little envelope was sitting somewhere inside one of those 50,000 satchels. That's where I was at.
Now, speaking of not going to work, what was work like the next day for you, just mentally, after Tupac calls your house and you missed the call because you was out on a date?
It was sad. It was sad. I was sad. I was sad. Like I did let them know, you know what I'm saying, that he did call. But I mean, even my roommate couldn't have verified because she didn't hear it either. So it's just me saying that he called, which who would believe that, right? Why would you believe that? Why would you believe me just to win a bet? I mean, I wasn't getting anything for the bet per se. We didn't bet anything, but no, it was just sad. It was like sad but exciting that he did call and that he had gotten the letter, and that's what's up. That's all you could do. Like, that's what's up.
All right, so for those of you guys that don't know, we have here with us the character Tanya from the book Inside a Thug's Heart. Thank you so much for agreeing to come out and do the interview on such a huge platform, Tanya. We know that you're not generally in the limelight and you haven't done any interviews up until this point. So I'm thanking you, and the Art of Dialogue thanks you for agreeing to do
And
that.
I thank you too.
You're welcome. Thank you. You're right. I'm not on social media like that. I like to live below the radar. So, but it's from a girl. So I am here because of Angela and because of the Art of Dialogue.
So when he calls and he leaves the message on her voicemail and she like busts in your room while you're asleep, what are you thinking like the moment she wakes you up?
Well, at that moment, I was in the middle of rapid eye movement going on. So I was in the REM stage when she busted in the room. So I was startled, right? And then she's like, when she said it, I was like, huh, what? Huh? And she said, we have to go to the office to get the recorder so she could actually play it. And I'm like, okay, let's go. Let's roll out.
She was so sleepy.
I was sleepy,
She was
but
so
that's
sleepy.
my girl. We're like, okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Now I was a little cautious. I was like, wait a minute. Now what's our story if
Right. If we get
caught?
if the cops come.
If the cops come and wondering why are you in this building at this time of night?
But
Did we change our clothes? Did we?
No, we went in our pajamas. We went in pajamas. We had to go.
Can you imagine that?
That's
Driving
insane.
down Roswell Road.
Yes, it was Roswell Road.
We
at
were
that
driving down Roswell Road. Oh
Sandy
my God.
Springs
Yep.
at 2:00 in the morning to
get
break
ready-
into the
Now,
building.
did you actually believe that he called?
Yeah, because I have no reason.
Or were you just kind of like,
I didn't have a reason not to believe her. But I wanted to hear his voice, though. But I
Facts.
wanted to hear it.
And I wanted her to hear it.
But I wanted to hear it.
Yeah.
I had no reason not to believe her, but I wanted to hear it.
Yeah.
okay, so she ends up dragging you to the office
I
2
dragged
o'clock
you.
in the morning. Y'all get to the office, and then what happens?
Well, we got the recorder.
No, we didn't.
Oh, no.
Your ass was asleep
I was
on your
asleep.
desk.
Oh, yeah, because you went digging.
I went digging. I was there to find it. I thought she was there to find it with me.
Okay, so
and I found her at her desk sleep.
So now you get to know her personality, right? So you know if it's something she wants to do, she's going to do it. The letter. Okay, I'm determined. I'm going to write this doggone letter. I'm going to put some perfume on it. I'm going to put it in this envelope, and I'm going to send this letter to Tupac. Determination. She gets the voicemail. Determination. Middle of the night, I'm going to get this recorder. I am going to get this recorder. I am going to find it. So what if you're over in that cubicle sleep with your pillow? I am going to go through every single closet.
I thought she was trying to find it with me, but I realized that she was not. She was asleep.
Listen, I like my sleep.
Especially at 2 o'clock in the morning.
I like my sleep.
She was at the desk sleep?
Yes.
Needless to say, we did not find it.
But that's okay. We didn't find it, but that's okay.
We did not.
But that's okay.
Because he wrote a letter.
You were the person that told Angela that Tupac was dead, right? So take me back through that moment, like the moment where you were either watching the news or you read it in the paper and you just found out and you're like, I have to break the news to my friend.
It's always difficult to tell anyone that someone that they connect with is no longer here. They cannot talk to them anymore. It's always something difficult. And it takes I think it takes courage to say it. I think it takes for anyone who's ever had to do that before to tell someone you care about that someone they care about is no longer on this side of heaven.
Because
very difficult.
Because when she bust in the room and said it, I wasn't watching the news at the time. I wasn't doing any of that. So when we turned to it, and I'm sitting there like, no, he's right there. But that was an old video that they were showing.
Yep.
And so she was like, no, look, it has the date, the death date, the birth death date. And that was like, wow.
It's that was a real moment when it was almost, quite honestly for me, I think about it, it was almost the end of that whole story. It was almost the end of the story of Inside a Thug's Heart, right? Because now his passing, his death actually put a period at the end of not only his life, but it put a period at the end of this book.
Okay, running it back to you missing Tupac's first call. Take me through the night he called you the second time and what you were doing the exact moment he called the second time.
What'd I say? What was the second time? The second time was when he was transferred and he had written my phone number on his arm. Is that the phone call?
The second time when you talked to him, the first time this would have been the first time you talking to him. So after you missed his call and he left the voicemail.
Oh, gotcha. I'm sorry.
The first night you get to talk to him, the first initial phone conversation.
I think that, well, I had either finished taking a shower or I was in the bath. I think I was taking a shower, and he called. Now, again, I think I might have been on the phone with dude at that time, but I don't know if I'm getting the calls mixed up, but it was one. I knew it was him. Not knew that it was him when he called, but knew when I heard his voice that it was him. It wasn't like I felt like it was a mistake, but I was shocked that I was home. I wasn't waiting for it. You know what I mean? But you know how, like, I had a dude tell me one time, he said, get your shoulders off your ears. You know how you talk like this? You like, hey. That's what it sounded like. Because it felt new, but then it felt like I already knew him. Like it felt like I already knew him somehow. You know what I'm saying? But it was that feeling of giddiness and oh my God, but trying not to be like oh my God, and trying to stay cool um and normal when you're not normal inside your body at all. You're like, everything about this situation is odd or surreal. I'm gonna say surreal more than odd. And he just sounded so sincere. Like it wasn't like it didn't sound gamey. It didn't sound pretentious. It didn't sound lackadaisical. It was like he truly was like, what's up? It's good to hear your voice. It's like, now I got a voice to put with, the letters and the smell, and you sound so sweet. And it didn't sound like game. You know what I mean? It just, and still in awe that he called again. I mean, that's in awe that he called again. Cause I'm still like, why? My letters couldn't have been that dope. It wasn't that dope of a letter. It was just the letter that you have. It wasn't that dope. But you called again. It's the surrealness of it is just forever surreal. Even when, like I said, when I read it back last night, it was the whole book is surreal. I have not read that book in a very long time, and to read it back, it's crazy. It's crazy that happened. How it happened. Like we are walking through an entire relationship, connection, whatever, in one book. It's like The Notebook to me. It's almost like the movie The Notebook. That's what that felt like last night. I was emotional, and I was like, I was through. This was me, like you said, this was me. But I'm like, I don't know, surreal,
Did it feel good to relive those moments, or was it bittersweet?
bittersweet, because so much has happened, and he's not here, and in my mind, I'm thinking of him like writing the letter. Like, where was he writing these letters, or where was he on the phone at? What was he doing? Was he just sitting there, just like, okay, let me call her again? Was he nervous to call? Like what were his emotions behind the situation? Like, that's where my brain went last night. It was kind of like, where was he at? Like, where was he at as a person for this to be what it was, and for his letters to be what they were? Because his letters were deep. I mean, it didn't feel gamey. It didn't feel like a game. It just felt like he was reaching out and, like, I don't know, surreal, surreal.
And what did he sound like? If you could describe what his voice sounded like without saying he sounded like Tupac, maybe like use an interview or something. How did his voice sound?
It sounded like he
when
sounded on that interview he did. He has on a brown, I think it's a leather vest. I think it's a brown leather vest, but he's in the studio, and I think it's
with Tabitha
I
Soren,
think so. I think it was MTV,
the
right?
white lady from MTV.
Mm-hmm. And he was in the studio. It was that calm. It was that quiet voice. It was that voice. She's a
When he said, "I
fan.
think being humble is sexy."
Yes. Yep. Yep.
That's how I pictured it.
Yep. That's exactly the tone. That was a tone. Yep.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yep. Melty. Very melty.
Oh, golly. What a dream.
Yeah. Yeah. You like what?
Okay, so after the initial phone call, Pac writes you not once, not twice, but 3 times within the span of a week. Why do you think he was so anxious to get in contact with you after the initial phone call, or at least maintain contact with you?
Don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And when me and you realized it was that many that fast, I don't know. Because he wasn't getting my letters. I do not know. And like he said in one of his letters, like I feel like I know you. And I don't know why I miss you, but I wish you would write me. I don't know. It was a 2-second conversation. It wasn't even that long. And
Yeah, because he wrote you March 2nd, he wrote you March 6th, and he wrote you March 10th.
right. And he still hadn't received my letters. Because I was writing. I have no idea. Clearly he felt some kind of a connection. Something was connecting with him too. I couldn't, fate, destiny, kismet. I don't know. I don't know. I was
Hmm.
frustrated as hell though. I was so frustrated that he wasn't getting my letters. And he was going to give up, and I thought that I had given up, or that I wasn't writing him that. And I'm losing my mind, and I'm telling Tan, I'm like, dude, he's not getting the letters. I I couldn't even tell you why he kept writing. With
Hmm.
all that mail in my mind, all of the, not that he wasn't writing 75,000 other people, but the letters he was writing to me, I don't know what that was. I don't know. And in hindsight, I don't know. Even in hindsight, I have no idea. I don't know. There's something that connected with him in something that was in the first letter, or in the tone of the conversation, which was what you read. It wasn't too much more than what you read.
Hmm.
What I have in that book on our phone conversations was as much as I could remember verbatim during that time that I wrote this book. You know what I mean? Because I wrote this book in 2002. And this all was like 1990 something, 95, 90 ish. But it wasn't anything deeper than that. It wasn't, I don't know. Mm,
Let's see. So in one of these letters he wrote on March 6th, 1995, he says in the letter, "Dearest Angela, it feels weird writing to you because I don't really know you that well, but to me it seems a friendship between the two of us started from out of this crazy situation could be real special. So if I'm writing you too much or I begin to get too personal, forgive me and let me know and it will all cease. I hope you can appreciate my honesty. I hope you can feel my sincere effort to get to know you as a friend and see what grows from that. Is this too much to ask from you? I haven't received your second letter, but I hope to hear from you real soon. I have at least a year to do I have at least a year to do so. In this year, Angela, allow yourself to drop your inhibitions and come to me through the pages of your letters. Don't just write pleasant, polite things. Really reach out for me. How did you feel when you read this in the letter? Were you kind of like spooked that he was so
Nope, I
intense,
wasn't
or were you
spooky.
turned on?
Mm-mm. I wasn't spooked at all. It was was no spookiness going on here. Yeah, no, it was like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, so I always talk about him in regards to his eyes. And I always said there was something behind his eyes to me that needed a hug. I always felt like he needed that was huggy stuff. That felt huggy to me. You know what I mean? Like if he could reach through, if I could reach through my phone or whatever, my letter and give him a hug, that's a hug letter. He's asking me for something. I don't know why he's asking it of me. He could have been asking that of everybody. But for me, I didn't care about everybody else. I wasn't worried about everybody else. He sent that to me. So for me, I'm going to give you what you asked me for. Why? Because you asked me and I don't understand what's happening right now. Do you know what I mean? It's still a situation where I still don't understand what's happening. If you got that letter, you still don't know what's happening. You're looking at him like, well, why me? Why do you want that for me? With all these people that you have, they can give you that same thing, right? They can be your pen pal. They can come see you and be your pen pal. That way you're never alone. But that felt like something else. Did that not feel like something else to you as a reader? Like he was searching.
No, it did.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to like, but I don't know if it was loneliness and it just being chalked up to like a man being in prison
Right, but
and him being
but he
lonely,
got
or
all these sacks of letters. You
yeah.
have all these sacks of letters. You can write. All of these people are writing you. So you're lonely is not lonely because it's as lonely as it would be with me because I'm just gonna write you a letter also like somebody else did, right?
Yeah.
So if you're asking everybody for the same thing, then that's what's up. And everybody will send you letters. So therefore, you'll always have a flow of letters. Not that I feel like he ever had a slump in sending of letters. I think he would always have satchels and satchels of letters. But as far as I was concerned, at 20 something years old, he sent me that letter asking me for something. I'm going to continue to write you and give you exactly what you asked me for. Because I feel like you need it, because I always have, because of your eyes. It's always been his eyes. There's something behind his eyes. Always. Still.
And what do you think that something was?
A yearning to be exactly who he wanted to be, that he didn't get a chance to be exactly. I think the man that he was trying to get to was behind his eyes. I don't think the man we saw all the time was exactly him. Like you said, I think he's a piece of all of those people. But who he truly, truly wanted to be, I think is behind his eyes. I think he'd have been amazing right now in the community and everything right now if he'd have stayed, if he'd have been able to stay. I think he'd have been amazing. And I think that's who he would have wanted to be. He'd have been huge in the industry, huge in movies and everything he wanted to do. He'd have been huge. He had way more to do, so much more he wanted to do. He just didn't get a chance to do that. That's the eyes for me. That's the eyes. All that other rah rah was just what he was caught up in. He had to get through that. He had to get through it. He tried to get through it. He tried. I think he tried.
That's deep.
It's sad.
Definitely sad. So in this March 10th letter, which still would have been like the first week,
Right.
within the first week of y'all making contact, he says, I don't know why, but I'm constantly thinking of you, wondering what you're doing and who you're doing it with. I know I have no right to be so inquisitive about your whereabouts, but what can I say? A nigga miss you. Shit feels and sounds weird. Shit feels and sounds so crazy to say and actually know that I miss you and I've never met you, but I do, Angela. you'd be surprised how much I got from that 2-minute conversation that seemed like so long ago. So as you're reading this, you still just don't feel like it's game and it's just like
No, why?
he was
Why?
sincere.
What is he? Okay, so in all honesty, what could he get from it though? We couldn't do nothing. He wasn't gonna get the skins because he couldn't, right? The game was what? Will she write me another letter? Sure. I'll write you a letter. He has nothing to gain for the game to be a game. Other than for me to
mind control. I'm playing devil's advocate.
Mind control?
Mind control.
Nah. I mean, me writing you a letter, that's no big deal. I got you. I can write you a letter. Doesn't take up all, like 9.5 weeks is Mind Control. That's one of my favorite movies in the whole wide world. 9.5 weeks, he told her at 12 noon every day on her job to go into this room and do herself. Now, he told me at 12 midnight, find a star, right? Did I find a star every night? Did I do it every single night? No. I didn't every single night. Come on. I was busy sometimes.
5 nights out of the week?
No. No. But I did it sometimes when I saw a star. Like, there he is. That's what's up. Might not have been 12 midnight. Do you know what I mean? The letters for me were not a mind game per se. I was having a good time. This was a surreal situation for me. And I stayed inside of it with reckless abandon because there was nothing that could go wrong with it. Like, what could happen? What's the worst that could happen? He stopped writing? I'd have been sad. You know what I'm saying? But I had a good time. Like, that's me. It was a good time. So then now you move on. I mean, like, that's what it would have been. But it didn't happen like that. He kept writing. He kept asking if I would come see him. Sure, I'll come see. He probably had 50,000 women up there going to see him. His people was probably tired of making reservations for people to come see him. You know what I'm saying? Just saying. In hindsight, right? But in real time, I was a little skeptical on that part, and that was on impact. Will you come see me? I'm like, sure, when it gets to that point, sure. But it got to that point fast. We was rolling.
And he's like, this was when he was saying, like, you gotta keep saying,
right,
like, when the time comes.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I didn't think it would be that soon. I really did think it would be a little bit a ways away, but this was moving fast. Like you said, fast and furious situation. It was fast.
And you still don't think that he like took hold of your brain?
No. Not at all. I still was with dude. I was not.
But were you thinking about Tupac?
No. It wasn't that.
Oh, okay.
No, it wasn't that. I don't do that. So no. When I was with him, I was with him. And when I'm not, then I have you. And so therefore, when I got a letter, I wrote a letter. Do you know what I'm saying? Or I wrote a letter before I got a letter. But we were on letters and sometimes phone calls. And I didn't know when the calls were going to come. I either caught it or I didn't because we didn't have that kind of communication back then. I didn't have walking around with a cell phone per se. I had a cell phone, but he would call a house. So it wasn't that. You know what I mean? There was still this guy and I was still talking to other people. Yes, he was on my brain. What is he doing? I wonder what he's doing. Because he's in jail. But that's not mind control. That's that you feeling somebody. I'm just feeling you. Anybody that I'm feeling, I'm going to wonder what you're doing. Where you at? Wonder what he's doing right now. I should call him. But I can't call him. Right?
As intensely as you felt it for Tupac, though. That's the question.
So Tupac was completely mental. And I loved it. Completely mental. That's the only relationship that I've had that has been completely mental. And for me, that was a different kind of arousal. So when you talk about compartmentalizing things, I compartmentalized it. He was one situation. It's like I split my Gemini up then. He got me Over here, absolutely. On some compartmentalizing mental, I'm all in for this. Over here, we doing something else. And it's not as intense because it's not mental. He wasn't feeding my brain like this over here. I couldn't even touch this. And the fact that you couldn't touch it makes it all the more intense, right? It's beyond absence makes the heart grow fonder. It's beyond that. You cannot even touch it, but you want it. But it doesn't make me not want that either. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it definitely makes
Yeah.
sense.
So I think I might have compartmentalized it. I was feeling this over here. Don't get it twisted. Me, the Tupac, I was all in over here. It wasn't a consumption of my life, but I was all in though. If that makes
See, you're a special kind of woman, Angela, because I just think that most women, they, as soon as they would have got like Tupac's eye, every guy that they would have been talking to or dealing with at the time would have just kind of got pushed to the back burner
well,
and
he
it
did
would
get
have been
pushed to the
all
side. Well,
about
he got
Tupac.
pushed to the side when he was interfering when I was on the phone with him. So
Oh,
he got
okay.
pushed.
Let's get into
No, you're right.
it.
He got pushed. So if like when I was on a phone call already, he calls me. If Tupac called, you gotta go. He doesn't know why he has to go. He doesn't know why I canceled our plans because he's supposed to call me. So I knew he was going to call on that one. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna be home, and so no, we can't go anywhere because I'm waiting on a phone call for myself, not for him, for myself. And I didn't even know him like that at that time. So he definitely doesn't get explanations. Why would I give him an explanation? I don't know you. I just met you, sir. Right? I just met you, sir. Okay. So over here, I'm waiting on that. So it came. I was on the phone with you. It called. I gotta go. I'll call you back. And I'm sure I called him back after I hung up because we're dating.
Hmm.
This is a situation. I don't even know what the situation is. It's just exciting. So I'm all in for the excitement of it all. Right? It's exciting. It's not like he's here. If he was alive and in person, yeah, for sure. Boop, super, boop. Yeah, we'd have tried it out. Let's see what's up. But knowing that that couldn't happen, I have a whole year and a half to play with this mental. We all in. All these Geminis. We right here on the mental. Compartmentalized. When you call, it's you. I got the letter, it's you. When I'm not, we over here trying to see what's up. Because I don't know what this is.
Hmm.
I didn't even think this would continue.
Right.
I would never, even with the letters, every letter was a surprise, always. I didn't have expectations that, oh yeah, he gonna call me. Oh yeah, he gonna, oh, pfft. Ever did I have that? Why would I? This is just a bet. This was a bet. I won, I went past the win, and now I don't know what is happening. But I'm feeling it very much so. Very much so. Very much so.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
So, when Pac asked you, the first time he asked you to come visit him in prison, what was your initial reaction? Did you think like, oh, this guy is crazy? Like, or were you really like,
That
fuck
I
it, I'll go?
no to both, but I didn't really think he was serious because it was like within the first second conversation. Well, the first conversation, the actual first to the second conversation, it was like, yeah, I'll come when the time is when we get there. Because I didn't think he was serious. I mean, we don't even know each other yet. It's not even. It's we don't know each other yet. I wasn't really worried about it. I figured we had months, like at least 6 in my mind. I think I told my mama 4 or
Right.
5, but in my head I was like 6. I'm not flying up there yet. I don't know him. Seriously, I'm not that fast to move on stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
um but the letters, I mean, it just became so ridiculous that I was like, absolutely I'm going. I am on my way.
And speaking of your mom, what did your mom think about this whole situation with you and Pop?
She had the same apprehensions that Tanya had. They were about the same person. My mom is a Virgo. So she's not playing around with anything. And she doesn't get caught up on nothing. And she doesn't care who anybody is. She was more so looking
I love
at
that.
what he was in the media also. Um, and was fearful of what she thought he or who she thought he was or the elements that she thought he entertained. And so
Mm-hmm.
with that, she knowing knowing me, um, she was fearful of the possibilities of what I might do. And going was
Mm-hmm.
not an insane situation. It wouldn't have been insane because she knew that my personality, I probably would go. Not that I had done anything like that before, but because of how I am, that would not be an insanity thing for me. It would be like, yeah, I'm going to go. I've thought it all the way out. Don't worry about it. I got this, Mom. That's and I don't have anything. I'm just on my own track and I'm just going to do what I want to do. So,
You're just
Mom,
gonna see like
just,
where it takes you,
yeah,
basically.
it's an adventure. I'm going. I'm going. I'm going to go. So that worries her always. Always.
Hmm. Okay, so he actually addresses your mom in one of the letters, and he's pretty much appalled that your mom is fearful of you talking to him or like, being affiliated with him. And I just got a cackle out of that because it's not like he was in the media for being a Boy Scout.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. Right.
So I thought it was hilarious as a fan reading a book that he was just like, I'm appalled, or he said something like, I'm just like he was just so
Like
appalled
he
that your mom
right.
would be fearful,
And
like he couldn't believe it.
I think that in his mind, Gemini mind, that you should be able to see possibly all of me. Like not just that part. Like if I can see that other side of you, the side that I think is there via your eyes. Not that my mama is looking at your eyes. She's not even looking at your interviews. She doesn't even play your music. You know what I'm saying? My mother knows nothing about you other than what snippets she might have seen here and there. She's not watching full-fledged anybody's interviews. So her perception is whatever her perception is based off of what she's seen. And it's no fault, no foul. You got to give that to her. You know what I mean? I'm over here like, it's the eyes. It's all about his eyes. It's behind the eyes, Mom. You got to look at his eyes. She's like, I don't have to look at anything. This is possibly a a dangerous situation and I just need you to be careful. She wasn't happy.
Got it right here in this letter, March 17th, 1995. Please inform your mother that I was greatly disturbed by the fact that she feared me. He has feared in quotes. If she only knew how truly unthreatening my nature is. But I understand her apprehension with the violent picture the media has painted my image in my music and movies and the countless immature acts I've committed is enough to cause certain feelings of
Right.
caution.
Right. All of those things. That's all she had. So what was she supposed to do, right? I mean,
So why was he
I don't
disturbed,
know.
right?
What was she supposed to say?
I love
That
Tupac.
was funny, right? And I never thought about it like that. He
Yes.
listed every single thing except for how they portrayed me and this. That's all she had to go by. What else was she supposed to do? She's not looking at the eyes. She's not looking at
All
anything.
he went from saying I'm deeply disturbed to I understand.
Right, right, right. Yeah, cause but
Oh man,
she
that was
came down
great.
off of it though. She came down. She was glad I made it back safely.
So what was her initial reaction when he said in the same letter when he offered to like cook her dinner because apparently what did he say? He said gangsters don't do things like
Yeah,
that.
she was like, mm-hmm. She had two brothers who were gangsters, and they both cooked very well. So that's you not. She's a Virgo. She don't care about all of that. And that's not going to sway her. She's not easily swayed at all. Nope. They cook beautifully. both
Oh my
both
gosh.
gangsters. Yeah.
Oh, he said even he said let's see. Um, However, if it's cool with her, I would like to extend an invitation for dinner to her so that she can see for herself what is in my heart. The only drawback is my confinement limits my engagement for at least a year and a half. But if she's still worried after my release for her daughter's safety, then I respectfully request she take me up on my offer of a home cooked meal. Even she knows criminals don't cook, so that clears me up right there.
They absolutely do. There's cooks
And then
in the
for you to
prison.
have two uncles,
Right.
yeah, for you
Yeah.
to have two
Two
uncles who were
uncles.
like actually gangsters that were pretty good at cooking,
Correct.
it's like this is hilarious.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's hilarious. Okay, so going into the day that, or really not even a day, I want to get into like you going to the prison and all of the moments that led up to it. Who set up the date? Like who was the liaison between you and Tupac as far as getting the visit set up?
So that was his cousin Billy. Billy set that up. So it was between
Okay,
Tupac
William
and Billy.
Lassane.
Yes. Yep. Um, he contacted me and we met up at Thug Mansion, excuse me. And I met his sister there, and then we talked about the travel. Um, I don't know what else we talked about. It felt like we talked about a whole bunch of other things, but travel and what dates were good and all that kind of stuff. And then that's who I went out there with was him.
Okay. And what were your first impressions of his sister Sechawa?
She was cool. She offered me some lemonade or something and to drink, and she didn't have a lot to do with that part of it, the arrangements and stuff, but she was cordial.
And what about Billy Lassane?
It was cool.
What were your first impressions of him?
Very cool. Very cool, very polite. Um, Took care of business. You know what I'm saying? He executed what he was supposed to execute, and he got me there.
So, leading up to you actually getting to the prison, were you nervous? What were you feeling like as you're like on your way to the prison to see Tupac
I
finally and meet him in the
I
flesh?
remember waking up on a plane, and um, we were flying over Rikers Island, and I asked Billy what that was, and he told me what it was, and then it was just surreal to think that I think it was a month and a half. I think this all took place within a month and a half or 2 months. Um, Ago, I had called there to get his prison number to write him a letter, and now I'm flying over it to meet him at Clinton Correctional Facility. So again, it was surreal to be in that space with somebody I didn't know 2 months ago, and now all of a sudden I'm on this adventure and I'm flying over the place that I called thinking that I couldn't get a prison number or what have you. Um, but no, I was very nervous. Um, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to. I didn't know how I was gonna go. All the letters leading up to even he felt like, what are you feeling? Like, what do you think that this will still be? The chemistry will still be there, or he didn't word it like that, but that's what it meant. You know how sometimes Geminis build it up in their heads, and then when they actually get together, it's not the same situation. So all of those were running through me too, because I didn't know. You could have great conversation on the phone, and then all of a sudden, you get in front of somebody and you don't have anything to say because I don't know what that is. I don't know where that disconnect comes from. So we had that through letters and intense letters at that. Um, Hell, we had done had sex on the pages already. Like we've done it all. And now we're meeting. Would that intensity still be there? Those were all questions that I was trying to figure out too. And I think we both hoped that it would. And it was cool. We were both very nervous when we met. You could see it. It was palpable.
Mm. So describe the prison. Do you remember like what the prison looked like? I'm just curious, like just to get some, I guess, some scenery, like just so I can picture it in my mind.
Not really. I remember I can give you it in like this, like snippets. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
remember the checkpoints, but I remember being in a room that had file cabinets in it. Um, you feel like a dream. That had file cabinets in it, and that's where we were waiting at, where we were waiting to get into the actual room where we were going to see him, because there weren't any other people in there but us and some guard who was up, sitting up on a. It seemed like a stoop, but it was up here, and there was a line of tables, two lines of tables. Um, we had to walk through a hallway that had vending machines, and then you walk into the room and you could see, like, you walked into the room and then there were the windows, the two rows of tables, and then the guy. So it was a small visiting room. It wasn't like the ones you see on TV, a big giant room.
Mm-hmm.
um and I was mad because after, fast forward, sidebar, I was mad because I didn't see anywhere, like everybody else was taking pictures and stuff, like I didn't see that thing where you could take pictures. I took a picture. Nobody told me. Nobody. Anyway, I digress. Anyway, so was mad. I see all these pictures with all these people taking pictures. I was like, oh my God, where was that at? It wasn't in that room with us. We would have had to go somewhere else, I guess, for it, or they pull it down off the wall. I don't know where it was, but I didn't see it, and I didn't get a chance to take a picture with him.
Was it the weekend? Was it on the weekend when you went to go visit
It
him?
had to be because I had a job, so I didn't take off for it.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I remember when I interviewed Desiree Smith, she said that you could only take pictures on the weekends.
Then I missed it. Then nobody told me. Nobody told me.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm,
he
mm,
didn't even
mm.
say nothing. Like I didn't know.
Okay, so the first day you two meet, who all went up to the prison with you?
It was me and Billy on the
It
first
was just
day.
you two.
Just me and Billy the first day. The second day was me,
Okay.
Billy, Big Psych, and Mopri.
Okay, so the first day,
Yeah.
because we're gonna break all of this down. So, so the first day, um, take me back through that moment where like you're in the waiting room, you're waiting, 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 and then he comes out and you finally see him in the flesh. What are you thinking? What are you
So
feeling?
first of all, I had to get up and walk because I was so nervous, and he wasn't in there when we got in there, and so I finally got up and went to the vending machine, and I was like, do you want something? And Billy was like, nah. He was laughing at me. He thought I was funny, but I was like, I can't sit here no more because my nerves was bad. So I went and I don't even know what I got out the vending machine. I have no idea. But then I started to hear the gates open, and I saw him from a distance. And it wasn't that far, but it was fast. So I saw him and he went inside. And I was like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, I know that's him. It has to be him. Who else would they be bringing in there besides him? There's only us in there, right? And it's so funny how it took me a minute to even get myself to walk back through the doorway to go inside. I could hear him talking or greeting Billy or what have you. But I was frozen. It was kind of like a frozen. It was a frozen feeling. And then I was like, okay, you gotta go, 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 go. And so I start walking, and he turned, and we caught eyes, and I got to the table, and he smiled, and then that it was that smile, and I was assessing everything else because he had hair, like in my mind, like, granted, he's in prison, but in my mind, I'm looking for bald head bandana dude, with I don't know why. I don't, in my brain. But he had on a jumpsuit, and he had on a jumpsuit or pants and top. It was blue. And he had hair, but his eyes were the same. So I was face to face with the eyes that I had seen on TV, and it was mesmerizing. I mean, it was mesmerizing. It was mesmerizing, and everything that I saw on that television set was exactly what I saw standing there. But now I had the smile too, so I got the smile and the eyes, and the Miss Lovely. It's like, hey, Miss Lovely, it's just great. You so silly.
I'm trying so hard not to react.
It was again like the progression of it should have had me at a certain place mentally, but it didn't because everything was still okay. Oh, it happened again. Oh, okay. So here we go. Oh, he wrote me a whole. You can ask Tanya. I was surprised every time a letter came. I was surprised every time there was more than one poem in there. I was surprised, extremely surprised when he wrote his story out. I was surprised when he started writing sex stories too. Like I was surprised. So everything was a surprise. When he gave me the breakdown of personality and lovers and, what he's looking for and what he's trying to do, everything was a surprise. So I had no expectations for anything. So then to be standing there in front of him, it was still a surprise. The surrealness of flying over Rikers it's still a surprise. I don't believe I'm on this airplane. You know what I mean? Kind of like walking through not going through emotion, but consciously going through emotion. And then being in front of him was like, oh my God, like I didn't even know this man. Like this man was like way over here 2 months ago. 4 months ago, I hadn't even thought about him. A year ago, what? What are we talking about? So you fast forward into this small space and time, and now I'm standing in front of him, looking at the eyes that I saw on TV. Him asking me to write him asking me to come see him pouring out himself inside of his own letters. Because this book ain't me telling you nothing about Tupac. He's telling you everything about him. I didn't tell you nothing about him because I don't know nothing about him like that. And now I'm standing in front of this man, and he's smiling at me with that smile that I saw on TV that you wished that he would give you. You know what I'm saying? And there it is for me. Swoon. Swoon. Noodle legs and swoon. Noodles and swoons.
So who broke the silence?
He did. With the Hi Miss Lovely. That was the breaking of the silence. He said, good to finally meet you. I said, me too.
And what you
Me
say?
too. I mean, like, I don't know. It was just, I don't know. I can't do it verbatim because I don't remember. It was a long time ago. It was awfully long time ago. But it was just so surreal. It was so surreal. I don't know verbatim what we talked about. I know we talked briefly. We cuckooed briefly. And then he started talking to Billy about business and stuff at the house. And, I asked him, did they want something from the vending machine? And I did that on both days. And I think we were there for maybe an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. I know, yeah, 45 minutes to an hour. We held hands. I mean, and then
So what do you remember discussing with him during the hour visit?
nothing major. Nothing major. Do you still feel the same way? Do you?
It doesn't have to be major.
Yeah, no. Do you?
We just want to know.
It's like, do you still feel the same? Do you feel like anything's changed? And I'm like, no, but nothing had happened yet. Like we were, you know what I'm saying? It's like, do you still feel I don't know what the word is, like that thing? And I'm like, no, yeah. Nothing. It hadn't changed. It was just one of those things where you're trying. For me, trying to wrap my head around just being there and being in his face. Now, what he was thinking, I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if things were shifting in his brain or if he was trying to just so busy figuring out what I was thinking, because it just felt like that. It was kind of like it wasn't any crazy mad conversation. It's kind of I think I said we talked about what little modeling stuff I was doing, and um I don't even think I asked him what he does in there. Like, I don't think I asked him, like, what is a day in a life in here for you? You know, I don't think I did that. Um, I don't know. I hate that I don't. I hate that I can't recall that like that. I hate that I can't, because I was up there for at least 45 minutes to an hour. And we had to have talked about something else besides my little modeling stuff and calling me Miss Lovely. Like, we had to have. And it didn't all shift to Billy immediately. So there had to be some more conversation. I just cannot recall it verbatim. I can't. I wish I could.
Do you remember being on fire, like on the inside, while you were sitting there
I was
talking to
definitely
him,
on
or was it just
fire.
like a calmness?
I was definitely on fire. I remember talking about my dress that I wore, because I wore a mock neck turtleneck dress. It was fitted. And um and I told him that Tanya wanted me to wear something more provocative. And he said, "Yeah, I'm with your roommate." You could have showed some more skin. Cause it was a whole turtleneck dress, like long sleeves the whole night. It was black. And it was fitted though. So I said the form fitting is fine. You know, I don't have to show skin and come
Yeah,
up there like
silhouette
I don't
works.
want to come up there like a hoochie. Like, it's not that kind of thing in my mind. And he was like, "Yeah, your roommate, yeah, you could have showed some more skin." You could have showed some more skin. He did say that. Um, yeah, because even the second day, I think I wore all leather. I had leather pants on. It was a leather vest and another turtleneck. I think because it was cold. First of all, it was cold. Um, but yeah, no.
So was he everything that you imagined he would be? Like, was he shorter in person? Was he taller than you thought? Was he lighter in weight than you thought? Like,
He was lighter. That was
how did he measure up?
Yeah, that was part of my assessment, because he was smaller body wise. Like, on TV, he looked thicker, like muscular. Um, and he seemed shorter, but I had on heels, so I didn't know how tall he was actually, and I still don't. Do you know how tall he is in
I
real
think he
life?
was like, I don't know. I don't get me
I don't
wrong. I've
know.
never seen you the one that
I
seen him, Miss
know, but I
Angie.
had on
You the
heels. I was on the
one.
other side of the table, but I feel like we were face to face, so maybe he was 5'5". Is he taller than that? 5'9". He's 5'9". Oh, he didn't seem like he was that tall. Damn. That's sad. That's sad that I didn't think that he was that. No. What's your name again? Blake told me he was 5'9". So he
That's
would
what
have
the
been,
internet
yeah,
says.
so he would have had to tower me then. He didn't seem that tall. Or my heels wasn't even that high as they are now. Because I had on a chunky boot.
Mm.
That's so sad. I didn't even know how tall he was. But it didn't seem like it. It seemed like we were face to face. So maybe we were face to face because of the high heel of my boot.
And
And
his
it,
cousin Billy was just sitting there while y'all talked.
Yep.
Like, what was he
He was
doing the whole
sitting
time?
there.
He was just listening.
I think that was what he was supposed to do. I think if he was the guy who brought the girls or brought the people, in my mind, somebody had to bring him up, right? So if he was that guy, I don't know, he might have just been the guy that brought me up. But then that would be what you do. There's nowhere else to go, nowhere else he could be. But he was sitting right there. He was sitting right there the whole time.
And so you go back up there a second day. I
Oh, wait,
understand
nope,
that,
nope, hold up. And then he said, it's coming back a little bit. He told me that Keisha was gonna come. Keisha was supposed to come to meet me up there. And I was like, oh my God.
the first day.
The first day he told me that she was supposed to be there that day. I said, thank God she didn't come. I said, I couldn't have handled meeting you and meeting her. Like, that would have been like I'd have handled it, but that would have been a lot. That would have been a lot to do. One, I'm meeting you for the first time, but then I have to do this dance. It's a dance. It would be a dance to do this dance with your wife. Thank God. And then when he's like, well, she'll be here tomorrow. I was like, okay. I still wasn't happy about that either, but it's his wife. I mean, like, what am I gonna do? I'm here now. Thanks for telling me, sir. I'm here now. But she didn't come the second day either. Thank God.
So did he say why she didn't come?
I
Is that something that he
I
discussed
think
with
she
you?
just didn't want to. I think that's what he said. She didn't want to come. She was supposed to come. He asked her to come. Or they talked about her coming or something like that. But she didn't want to.
To meet you specifically, or just to visit him that day?
To meet me. I'm the pen pal he talked about in the dang on. He said that he told her, which was mortifying a little bit, but they had whatever their understanding wasn't my business. I didn't care. Not at 20 something, I didn't care. I cared, but I didn't care. I'd already said what I said my piece to him regarding that situation in 2 letters, actually. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't be that forgiving. I don't know, but I understand from her perspective. I get it. But yeah, I was glad she didn't come. Very happy. It would have been past awkward. And I would not have been able to kiss him. I'd have never got that. I wouldn't have did it. Not me. I would not have done it. That'd have been a very quiet visit. I'd have never done it. That'd have been a very awkward situation. I would have never done
Okay,
it.
so this is the first or second visit when you two shared a kiss?
Both. We kissed twice.
Oh
Yeah, no, we
my
kissed
God.
both
Okay,
visits.
so you never told me about the second kiss. You've only told me about the first.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
no.
take me back through the first moment when you first touched the lips of Tupac Shakur.
I thought Tanya was gonna come fly through one of them doors. That's what I really thought was about to happen. With all my dreams that I'd had, I felt like she was gonna come through the door. We were gonna be interrupted. It wasn't gonna be able to happen. And then it did. And it was yummy.
So were you about to leave? Was it?
Yeah, we were
you,
leaving.
like in the heat of the moment?
Nope, we were leaving. It was on the leave. Everybody stood up. We stood, and I looked over at the guard. And I guess it was all good because I didn't know you could, touch and do all, because he could have came around the table. As far as I was concerned, I know he could have came around that table. That'd have been amazing to hold and kiss. That'd have been great. But we didn't hold and kiss. We just did. It was a table between us, so it was like this. That's probably why he seemed the same size, because it was this situation. So he was back here. He wasn't like up on me like here. You know what I mean? That would have been great. But he was on the other side of a table. So when we did come together, it was leaning in, and as much as you can do leaning in, that was what was happening. No, the kiss was great. The kiss was great. It pulled in everything, that all of those letters and all of that poetry and all of those things. It was his kiss was fantastic. All that mental came.
What did it feel like?
She said, "What it feel like?"
What
You
did
know it.
the kiss
Hold
feel
up.
like?
You sound like what was that? Jason's lyric. What'd he say, girl?
Yeah,
It was Jason's lyric.
I'm trying to like. Yeah, I'm like the friend in Love Jones that's in the back of the car. Like, what it say?
What'd it say? Yes. It was gentle yet forceful. It was exploratory yet familiar. It was confident and not nervous at all. It understood its assignment very well. It was great.
Did he put his tongue in your mouth?
Absolutely. 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 With reckless abandon. It was very sensual. You know how some people kiss you and it's like all over your face? Mm-mm. It was wonderful. It was as if he had been in there before. You know what I mean? It felt like he'd been in there before.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was nice.
That's beautiful. So like did you like see stars and like fireworks and
It was more melty. It was more melty. It just solidified everything that we had talked about, everything that the letters had portrayed, everything the poetry had given me. You know what I mean? All the things that I've done to myself in his regard, that kiss solidified all of that. It was exactly how I would have imagined it would be. I was hoping he would be a good kisser. That normally means a lot to me that somebody's a good kisser. A lot. So that that was amazing. And the second day, it was just like he already knew what to do. So it wasn't anything, it was so familiar. It didn't feel odd at all. Nothing awkward about it. Not even the people watching. It didn't even matter. It was as if they disappeared out of the room because the second day, Psych and Mo Preem were there with Billy. So they watched that then. I didn't care. It didn't matter. But I was glad that we didn't come. I was very happy. I was very happy.
that Keisha didn't come?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It would have never happened. It'd have been a whole nother type of visit. In my mind, it would have been. I can't imagine it would have been anything else.
Oh my gosh. I mean, in the letters, he did say in one of these letters, for me, sex is deep and mental. It's much more than in and out, up and down, bump and grind. Foreplay is the foundation for pleasurable love making. The kiss tells it all. I love to kiss, not just on the mouth, but the entire body. The elbows, the back of the knees, the neck, the ears, the breast, and every inch in between.
I believe it. I believe it.
So you just confirming that he was a great kisser is
Absolutely.
like
I believe that
I just
that kiss going all over somebody's body. For all those who've had the kiss go all over their body, I'm jealous. I'm sure it was amazing. I'm sure the kiss was amazing, and I'm not exaggerating. I'm just not. I've been kissed. That kiss was amazing. I still remember that kiss, and it's not that I'm fanning out. It was a good kiss. It was fantastic. Everybody
I'm
doesn't
gonna
have
cry
that.
at the fact that I was born so late.
Don't cry. Don't.
I cry. Cause you talking about you're jealous of the women who got the kiss all over the body. I'm jealous of you. Like he could have air kissed me and that would have been enough. I could have got an air kiss.
Yeah, it was good.
My gosh. Okay, so in one of these letters would prove to be interesting years and years later, considering all of the things that would transpire afterwards. So you asked him in one of his letters. I guess this was before the news broke that he was marrying Keisha Morris. You asked him if he was marrying Jada Pinkett because I guess there were news reports stating that they were getting married or that Tupac was getting married, correct?
Well, there was a lot of, I mean, they've always had stories that they were like really, really good friends. In my mind, that the love was big for them. I mean, that's never been a secret. So in my mind, that would have been who his person was. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't that there was anything extra. It's just that all the new stuff that you had ever seen about them, that they came up in school together and they were besties and this, that, whatever. I just thought she was the girl. She would have been the friend, the special friend that he mentioned early on. There was nothing else. It was just that. And if he was going to marry somebody, it would be her in my mind. Because he hadn't said it. Like, he didn't say who his special friend was, but I mean, I guess I made an assumption. I obviously made an assumption.
Okay. So in the letter, he actually answers you back and he says, "No, I'm not marrying Jada. It was never an issue. Yes, she did ask me, but it was more out of pity than real love. Don't get me wrong, I do love Jada, but only as a friend. We've been through a lot together. No, I've never had physical relations with her, just friendship in its purest form." So, with all of the things that's been in the media about Jada Pinkett over the past few years, the one in particular that I want to ask you about that directly contradicts what Tupac said in this letter is the fact that she alleges that Tupac proposed to her. What are your thoughts on that? And do you think that she's lying or that Tupac was lying in the
You
letters?
are not about to get me in nobody's entanglement. Mm-mm. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I don't want to get inside of nobody's entanglement because I don't know who asked who what. I'm not doing that. um, yeah, I'm not doing that. I don't know if she asked him or he asked her or who asked whoever, and I can't even speak on that. I have no idea. I don't have a belief in who. I don't have a belief or a thought about it.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. You said you don't want to answer it, so
I have
yeah.
no idea.
That's fair enough. Okay, let's see. Okay, here we go. It's not chapter 13, this is chapter 15.
Okay.
To fuck the taste from your mouth. Why are you laughing, Angela?
Tell you over here cracking up.
Tupac says, "Let me fuck the taste from your mouth. Give me kiss and close your eyes. Tonight's the night I love you right. Lay back and enjoy the ride. Grab hold of something stable. Forgive me if I ignore your screams and moans, oohs and ahs, and continue to give you more. Would you mind if I slept inside you to awake in heaven's gate? Then would it be cool if I drooled on you, then kissed you and licked your face? Let me fuck the taste from your mouth, then sleep and rest peacefully. N- Now, no matter who comes before or after, you got the best piece of me." To Angela from Tupac. Am I naughty or what?
Or what? No. I thought it was great. I love stuff like that. And he articulates very well. I write erotica, so I love erotica. And somebody being able to give it back like that was a turn on. You don't get that.
So do you remember your reaction when you first read it?
Absolutely. I think I screamed. Did I not scream, Tan? Yeah, I think I did. I think I screamed. I was like, oh my God, that's what's up. It was amazing. That it's that pen for me for him. It's that pen. Like men, I don't think men understand how important that pen is. Like you could actually, if you wrote a woman a letter, if you just took some time and oh my God, that's better than a voicemail or all of that. This is coming from you to them explicitly.
Mm-hmm.
It's sexy, but they don't take the time. I mean, they might send you a text, but that's not the same. It's just not. Handwrite that thing. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
I screamed. I think I yelped out a little bit. It was a little yelpy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was amazing. Very sexy.
And how would you say this relationship with Tupac compares to other relationships that you've had before him and after him?
It doesn't. There's not one relationship that I've had that's been 100% mental at all. Not at all. The physical always comes in and it is what it is. And then the thing begins and there's a whole motion. This is different because he couldn't there's nothing that we could do. Like, it's a confinement situation on both sides. I was as confined as he was in terms of him. So the excitement that you feel when you meet somebody for the first time and that you're excited about, the difference is that we couldn't see each other to release some of that extra energy. Whereas when you meet somebody and you can see them again, say, hey, let's meet up tonight, let's meet up tomorrow, let's go have coffee. We couldn't do that. That energy, that connection, that whatever, we couldn't do that physical touch. There was no touch. And I think with touch, you exude a lot of energy through your touch, and it calms your emotions. We didn't have that. So all that buildup, it was just building up. And when we got to chapter 13, 14, 15, I mean, it was pent up. That's what it was. That's what you got. It was hot. It's hot.
So Pop gets bailed out of prison and he comes out. He's the hottest thing smoking in hip hop. He releases All Eyes on Me. It goes 5 times platinum in like 2 months. So he's literally the most famous rapper on the planet at this point. How did you react to the news, the initial news of him getting bailed out, and also were you anxious about him contacting you once he got out?
Yeah, a little bit. Because things had simmered a whole lot when I got back. And I hadn't heard from him. I knew that he, all the media around him getting out and all that kind of stuff. Um, it sounded like a lot was going on. There was a lot going on before he got out. And yeah, yeah, a little anxious. A little anxious that will I hear from him? Will he come? Will he call? You know what I mean? I didn't think he would write again because he was out. But a little bit of apprehension because then the relationship with the guy was different too. Because now we're in a relationship. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So it's a whole nother situation. We're dating more
Did he
heavily.
know that you were talking to Tupac at the time?
Eventually, he found out. I told him, but no, he didn't know initially because I didn't know him like that. He didn't need to know. It wasn't his business. As we
How did
progressed,
he react to that?
at first, I don't think he believed me, but then he did when I showed him a letter. So he didn't have any reason not to believe me. But, he was one of those guys that would make you seem like he didn't care or wasn't a big deal, but it was a very big deal. Because how do you compete with that? In his
You
own
don't.
mind, right? In his own mind. I didn't go bananas on how I was feeling and all that. I didn't do all of that with him because that would have been wrong. But in his own
So you
mind,
just played it cool.
yes.
You just played it
Like, yeah,
cool,
it's
like,
just
oh
something
yeah,
happened. Like, I
like
mean,
me and
yeah,
Tupac.
we just exchanging letters. What are you tripping off? He in jail. What am I do? It's that kind of thing. What am I gonna do? What's the worst, sir?
You gaslit that
What's the
man.
worst? He didn't read none of them letters. Like, what's the worst, sir? Get your life. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
So he never was curious about reading any of the letters. I mean, at this point, this guy's your boyfriend, and you're talking to the most famous rapper in the world up until that point,
He wouldn't have
who's also a sex
he
symbol.
wouldn't have given me the satisfaction of being concerned and worried about something like that. He was that guy. But
I like that.
yeah.
I like that type of shit in
No,
men.
but it's fake though. It was it's fake. But yeah, he's that guy. It's a fake sense of what's the word? Yes, arrogant security. Fake sense of security. He wouldn't let me know that bothered him. That would be beneath him. He's the man. He's mm.
So how did you know that it actually bothered him? Did he tell you like years later or
Cause
something? Like or after Tupac
I just
died?
know him. Periodically be like, you still talking to
Got
him?
you.
You still writing? What you doing? What you doing? You still? That's my man voice. What you doing? You still writing? Yeah, I just, I just know it did.
Oh my gosh. So, did you ever see Tupac after he got out of prison?
Mm-mm, I never did.
Because there's like been some controversy at the end of the book that kind of just has the people a little confused.
I think that what happens at the end of that book is if you did not take a breath, if you were caught up at the end of that book in what was happening, and you didn't take a breath between what was actually happening and Tanya busting through my door, then you believe everything at the end of that book. If you do take that breath, then you understand what was happening at the end of that book.
Right. And just to be clear, you and Tupac was the first relationship that you've ever had that was 100% mental.
Correct. 100%. No physical at all. Yep. Other than the kissing.
In the book, Tupac asked you for an odd favor. Okay, I'm going to read a passage from the book. This is page 168.
168.
No, 166.
166.
Sorry. Okay. Pac says, I got another favor, and I hope you do this for me. It's slightly crazy. Okay, here's my favor. At midnight each night until you see me, touch yourself and whisper my name 20 times. Please, Angela, would you do that for me? I don't know who's next to you. Black them out and let me have some every night. Just give me 20 strokes and calls and I'll do the same. In time it will be real. And those will be 20 of the sweetest, most heartfelt, intense strokes in the history of lovemaking. So please, friend, do that for me. Don't you go off fast. I want 20 slow, meaningful strokes. Then you can go back to the dude next to you. He can't compare to this shit we got. See you tonight at midnight, lover. Passionately, Tupac. Girl. Did you do it?
So what I did was not next to somebody, but when I did do that, I did that by myself. It's like, if you play with yourself, honestly, there's somebody's name you call out at the end of that thing. I don't know who it is. It varies sometimes, but
or somebody you picture.
Yeah, in your mind, right? You got somebody in your head. And so for me, yes, when I was alone, absolutely. And you know what? I think probably I tried, not that part, but tried to envision him when I was with somebody, but it wasn't how I thought he would do me. So therefore it never, it wasn't even, I had to escape that because that wouldn't have, it was a disservice to what was happening to where my brain was. And I didn't want to ruin the Tupac fantasy with some sex that wasn't his because it wouldn't have been the same in my mind. You know what I mean?
Okay, so for clarity, when you say it wouldn't have been the same, do you feel like it would have been better than the guy
Absolutely.
you were with, or?
No, I think it would have been way better. I think it would have been way better. Just because of, and the reason is because of how he talked about it, because of how he described it. So how he describes what he does, for me, he would have been somebody who took their time. Everybody doesn't take their time. Do you know what I'm saying? So in the slow part of it, it'd have been slow, fast, and furious, and delicious. Whereas somebody who you're interacting with every day it's a different kind of love making. It's a different kind of sex. So I wasn't gonna
become mundane and
Yeah, But even in my thoughts of him with that situation, trying to merge it together, it didn't feel right. It was wrong. And I was like, he would never do this. He would never do that. He wouldn't do it like that in my mind. So it was messing up the situation because that that was not how it was being done in my head. So when I have my imagination is greater than the reality that was actually happening. So my imagination with Tupac was on steroids compared to what was actually happening in the bed. Now, when I'm by myself, my 20 strokes was dope. And it was fat. It was exactly what I needed it to be. I'm just saying. I'm just being honest. I'm just being
So
honest.
basically, you feel like Pac would have turned you every way but lose.
Absolutely. I do. I do. With reckless abandon, and I would have surrendered to all. Yes, I do. I do. And there's people out there who know what that feels like. Like, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's not him. And they would be like, hell no. He wasn't like that. But
I've never heard
I know,
that.
I'm sure.
I've never heard
I
that.
don't believe it. The kiss was enough for me to know that that would not be a truth. That kiss was phenomenal. For me, the kiss tells it all. And that kiss was phenomenal for somebody who didn't know my mouth, who had never been in my mouth before. He knew my mouth. Or he knew his way around mouths enough to know what he was doing inside of a mouth. So I could only imagine what the rest of it was. And all I have is my imagination. She said, oh my God. I know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
You lived it. You definitely lived it, but I just wouldn't wish you got to the finish line.
You. Me too. Yes, ma'am. Me too.
It's hurting my chest.
It hurts my heart. Yeah. It hurts.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so Angela, what do you hope that people get from this book, like for generations to come? 20, 30 years from now, what do you hope that fans of yours as a writer, fans of Tupac's, what do you hope they continue to get from this book as the gift that keeps on giving, as you
It is.
affectionately call it?
I hope that they see another side of him, because still what you see out in the media is still what you saw before. The narrative hasn't changed. You know what I mean? If the people 20 years from now pull it up, however they pull it up on the internets and all of that kind of stuff, whatever's out at that time, if they pull it up, they still see the same interviews, the same situations, the same dramas to me. And these interviews and all the people that you guys have interviewed, all the new books that are out, for my book, it gives you another side of him. It gives you something else you wouldn't have gotten had this book not come out. And it's like I said, it's not me telling you anything about him because I didn't know him like that. It's you're learning him through his letters to me. So it gives you that other side of this man that you're seeing over here as one thing, but over here, maybe you'll see what I saw in his eyes inside of that book. Because that's exactly what I saw in his eyes, was what I found in that book, what's in the book. That's what I hope. That's a piece of history that'll be there forever, however, whatever forms and formats that it comes out in, but it'll always be there for people to find. And hopefully those who are fans of his and who become fans of his will find it and read it and feel the same way that we feel. Even again, me reading it, like I said last night, I'm a fan. And it happened to me. And it felt like it happened to somebody else when I read it.
Yeah, because you be tripping me out when you be acting like you're not, like this is not your story.
I'm telling you, I was like, then what happened? Then what happened? Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, but that's what I hope they get from it.
Gosh.
That's what I hope they get.
Okay, Miss Angie. Well, are you working on any projects that you would like the people to know about? What about the book? Are you working on any like adaptations of the book or anything that you want the people to look out for?
So I'm thinking of turning this book into an adult animation. I think that would be pretty dope. I think that I could do everything that needs to be done in it with an adult animated book. I don't want to do a movie again. I think his movies have been done enough, and I just want something else. Like I saw this movie called Intergalactic, and I loved that movie. If you ever see that, that's like an adult animation to me. This will be a little bit saucier than that because it got some saucy stuff in it. So I'd have to flip it around a little bit, but that's something that I'm doing with that. Finishing the third installment on a series that I have out called The Block. It's two books are already out. You can find them on Amazon. All the books that I've written, you can find on Amazon. I have about 7. And then finishing up some scripts. You should be seeing some stuff script wise from me soon. I've had 2 movies on BET, Hollywood Hearts and Keys to the City. And I got a lot of stuff coming script wise. So I'll post it as it goes and as it comes to fruition. A lot of things in the pulley for the future. So we'll see.
Okay, now my final question is there anything that I haven't asked you that you wish people would ask regarding the book Inside a Thug's Heart, regarding you as an individual?
No,
Anything?
I think you've done an amazing job. I would like to thank everybody for purchasing the book. I appreciate everybody's DMs and I mean, this is last year was a 20th year anniversary of the release of this book. That's why there's 2 covers, and it's always been well received. You know, I've all the things that I was most concerned and worried about. I didn't. um, I I didn't really have to be worried about. I mean, you know, you get your pockets of people, but I'm not worried about that. But
Yeah.
for the most part, it was well received, and I appreciate everybody all over the world. It's crazy how far it's reached. All I get stuff from all over the world regarding this book, and so I appreciate everybody for it.